Hello everybody, my name is Doug Gillespie, and what we have here is a patio that is 4 years old. We installed it and it's needing some upkeep, and as you can see, this area exposed to the sun and the rain has started to fade, and it's gone light. So the area that's been under cover and in shade weathers extremely well. So our first step in doing this is to apply acetone to this exposed stone, and this is something that everybody can do. Acetone can be bought from Home Depot, and for small areas we even just use a small sprayer. This is kind of a slow way to do it, but I'll just show how this will darken up and clear the white area just by spraying a light misting coat onto the stone. So if you're going to do the whole area, it would take you a little while, and seeing how it's a nice day, you might want to have a beer while you do it. That's up to you. But here's how we do it. We have a pressure spray. And this will do the whole area in just 5 minutes. Now that we have acetone, it brings the natural color right back up in the stone, brings back a little bit of shine. However, after 4 years, what it does need is a new coat of epoxy. So that's what we will do next. With this patio, the homeowner has previously pressure washed and cleaned it, so we haven't had to do that step. And at this point, it's just ready to go to recoat. And again, the recoating process, this one is 4 years old, and it's not as much wear and tear as a driveway, but it still will bring back its natural shiny look. It'll look brand new as soon as we're done here. So this is an example of, this is a 4-year-old job, and man, it looks great. Okay. And what I just used here is acetone right from Home Depot. We would recommend buying a gallon of it, and once it's sprayed on, it's got a bit of a smell to it, but it evaporates off within minutes, and you'll feel the surface is slightly tacky, and within 5 minutes it's already gone back to solid again. So we're ready to recoat right away. We also use acetone to thin our epoxy, so it's good to buy a gallon because you'll use most of it. If I had to spray the whole area of the patio, I'd be using 2 gallons approximately to spray the whole patio. You can get an idea of the size of it, so it does go a long way. Okay, our next step is to mix the epoxy and prepare it. So what we have here is a hardener and a resin. There are other epoxies you could use, however the quality varies greatly between products, so I wouldn't recommend anything other than a designated epoxy for pebble overlays. And the temperature today, it's a nice 65 degrees, and that means that everything is going to dry rapidly. It has to be dry to start with. So the epoxy should also be at 60-degree temperature, because if it gets any thicker or any cooler, it's going to be very thick and hard to manage. So what we'll do here is mix, we call this 1 unit at a time. This amount will give you a coverage of approximately 300 square feet. So this would be the most I would do at one time, just because of the working time. We would have at least an hour to work with this after the batch is done, so it's plenty of time to get it all rolled on. So what we do with the stick is just to hold it in the bucket here. It is very thick, so we help it out a bit, let it drain. That wasn't me. Now, what we also have to do with this epoxy is add acetone to help dilute it. And the correct mixture would be 16 ounces of acetone added to 1 unit of epoxy here. So we'll do that right now. Measuring cup. Now the best way to mix it, the easiest, is with a paint mixer like this. You could do it with a stir stick. You'd have to give it a good 3 or 4 minutes of stirring by hand. It can be done that way. And with this, we still give it a good 3 minutes of slow speed mixing and drilling. I should mention that if we had an 80-degree day and you were doing this, your time to work with it would be 30 minutes. With temperature, it definitely increases the speed that the epoxy will begin to go off. And should that happen, then you will notice it gets very hot and the batch will be ruined. Which means that when you are recoating here, you'd want to keep this bucket in the shade when you're not using it. Keep it out of the sun. Okay, what we're using here for equipment is a roller with a hole on it. I just use the cheap rollers because we throw these away after we're done. So I would even go through 2 or 3 of these throughout a job. They do get flattened out. And for your roller pan, you want to have a rack on it. So you're going to wet the roller and roll off the excess. This is Gary, he's the homeowner, and we're just showing Gary how to do it as well. So with a wet roller, the thing about it is you want to go lightly for the first few feet. Otherwise you will deposit all the epoxy in your first couple of feet. So you go light just to get it over the top. Back and forth a few times. And then you can put more pressure on it to work it in. The amount of coverage with a wet roller would be, you'd want to do no more than say 6 feet back and forth by about 1.5. And then worked in back and forth over the other area, and you've got good coverage for that. The most important part, where the most wear and tear would be on the edges. So we put a little extra, work that into the edge. Like so. And it is difficult to see the area that you have covered, so what I do is keep the tray out front of me as a marker. So I will do back and forth. And pull the tray just to show me how far I've gone.